be 3 o'clock on the dot. 3:30. I'd like to call to order the Finance and Investment Committee of the Vallecitos Water District this Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. We're recording. We're good. Thank you.
Oh, recording's up. We're live. Thank you.
All right. So the public needed, right? Broadcast listening, public comment. Well, I mean, I don't know if I don't need to see all that, right?
No, there's no public comment. There's no public online,
Okay, so there's no-
and we do have one member of the public here.
Welcome.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you're here, Taz. Thank you for being here. You're always welcome. And there is no public, you're not here for public comment or anything, though?
No.
You're listening, okay. Items for discussion. Number 1, backflow proposal review.
Sure. You want to take the lead and hand it over?
So we've got 2 new people here today. I only been in his first finance committee meeting for both of them. They're both, well, Art's not new, but he's been promoted to the meter services supervisor recently.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And Kyle is new, in less than a year now. He's the meter services worker 3. His name's Kyle Hernan.
Kyle's been here for a long time now.
How long?
Almost a year today.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
So they did all the work on this. I don't want to steal all the thunder, so I'm actually gonna let Art do the presentation today, and I'll just do the driving. And with that, hand it over to Art.
Take it away, Art. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm here to walk you through our proposal to switch the new BACKFLOW software provider. But before that, I'm going to, before the evaluation process and results, I want to give you guys a little background on the BACKFLOW. What is it and how address it here at the district. Next, we will be discussing the evaluation process and then the staff recommendations, and finally, the next step for the process. What is a backflow? Backflow is a reversible water flow in the substances in the pipes, causing them to move in the opposite direction and their intended flow into the distribution potable system. Backflow device is any effective assembly used to prevent backflow into potable water system. Mandate the backflow device usage in California came from the state of federal laws created as a result of the Safe Drinking Water Act of 1974. Currently in California code regulations, Title 17 mandates that backflow prevention devices must be installed on properties with cross connection that pose a hazard to the public water supply. With that being said, the Title 17 also requires that all the commercial industrial accounts must have a backflow device, and that all backflows are to be tested annually. BWD sends notifications to customers who are not compliant on a monthly basis. Recorded kept and filed for 3 years. Residential accounts with well water also needs to have a backflow device. BSI has been a vendor for backflow services since 2017, ensuring that all records are maintained accurately, due dates on track, and customer notifications are set in a timely manner. However, with recent updates to state mandates surrounding backflow requirements, it's essential that we align with the vendor that offers improved technology, support, and cost efficiency. A staff sent to our request or proposal. We received 2 proposals, Ecos Connect and SAMS, and attended software demonstrations for each. Our team analyzed future pricing, support, and use comparison matrix to score for them for each vendor. After evaluating our current system and comparing with 2 other vendors, we identified a solution that is not only cost effective, but also easier to manage and offer superior customer service. Based on an analysis, Ecos Connect emerged as the preferred choice for several key reasons. Competitive price compared to SAMS and saving about $31,000 compared to a current vendor. More responsive and accessible customer support for both staff and users. Their interface is easier to navigate, reducing the learning curve for the staff, improving operational efficiency. They have received positive feedback from several districts testers. Ecos platform is well equipped and handle compliance regulations and help us stay ahead of the enforcement requirements.
So are,
Mhm.
so the new vendor is more user friendly, provides better information and saves the district $30,000 a year.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
That's what it is. So the next step will be the staff will bring to the proposal to the board and for approval. And we are seeking support from the committee.
What's the total award amount for
It's $26,000 a year.
$6,000?
So it's based on number of devices though, so it's $3 per device for the system, and then it's $2 per letter that we send out.
Do we charge the customer? I mean, do we recoup the whole program cost?
We do.
Okay.
So we did it's been a long time, but we did a cost survey back in 2013. And it was determined at that time that our total cost related to backflow was about 120 grand. So we collect about $2.50 per bill per customer. And I said about 250, it is 250 per bill per customer.
Regardless, just for testing.
It's
Well,
for,
that's
This
all
is strictly
it's for the whole
testing only.
program.
For the whole
It's program. So if a customer like commercial industrial account has a backflow on their bill, they get charged $250 a month.
I think pretty much that's it. And you ask more questions. Kyle was here to answer all the questions.
Art, good job on the presentation, man. That was really good. Kyle, we got some hard questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Any other
Do we do
questions?
any testing ourselves in the house?
We only test our backflows for facilities like the pump stations, the ones in the yard.
36 devices we have within the district or so.
How many certified testers are in house?
We have to.
Just
Two.
us.
You
Just
two.
us.
Okay.
You're looking at them.
We brought them both.
With a grass connection specialist.
How often do these things go out, these backflow devices?
Well, they need to be tested every year, but once in a while, I mean, especially depends how much you use it and the degree of hazard.
So if they go out, does the customer pay for it, or do we pay for the backflow device?
Customer owns the backflow.
So customer owns the backflow.
At the essence, it's protecting the public system from what it's an industrial, commercial, most of the time customer. So they could be using chemicals on board, fertilizers, and we're protecting the public system from whatever they may be doing on site, because we have no control what they do on site. So that's, in essence, that's all we're trying to do with backflow, and that's why the customer's responsible.
I'm not a VW customer, but I just got my backflow tested and it actually went out.
Yeah.
And mine's 10, 11 years old.
Okay, that's what it's like.
Or do they have a list of approved? You have a list of approved devices that the customer can choose from.
Yeah, we have a approved list for, what is it, like 27?
Certified backflow tester, yeah.
The device itself.
Oh,
Yeah, it's all based off the USC approved list, backflow list.
Well, what's good about the new software is we can see all that stuff too. Like we can see the device, we can see the testers, we can see, it gives you all that information. Currently, we have just about no information. I basically get results. And it says 800 have passed and 200 haven't, so send letters to 200. So it's way, Sam's and Ethos Connect both did very impressive, I thought, demonstrations and had a lot of features.
Is there a theft problem for the devices since they're above ground?
I wouldn't say within our district. There's not I don't think we've had too many reported of any being stolen.
not since the recession,
I've seen some in cages.
and not since the
Yeah.
recession. That was a problem during the recession. They were taking anything brass or copper, but not since then. And then also, well, I don't know about for backflows, but most of the recycling centers now require certification of lead copy information, so that kind of helped cut that down.
So who's the current vendor?
It's called VSI, Backflow Solutions Incorporated.
And it's an annual contract?
It's 30 days notice, so we can break it.
Oh, you can't, okay, so you can break that, and that's what you're planning on doing as soon as you get approval. 30-day notice and then start with.
We're starting with engineering equipment committee support. Hopefully.
Gotcha. So we're saving 31, I just had a question. So it cost us 26,000 Annually?
For the new one, yes.
and we're saving 31. So was the other one charging us like
57,000.
57.
We've been paying 50, it was 53,000 starting in like 2018, and then it's gone up. It depends on the number as well, because they do it for the test that they result, it's a fee per test. But it's been between 53 and 57,000 since 2018.
And President Panic, you may remember from our one-on-ones that we're talking about all these little contracts that add up to a lot. This is one of those.
Yeah,
legal
I mean, yeah,
contracts
you know, and still, I mean, that's a 30K is a lot,
per year.
yeah.
So it's continued savings.
So there is some sort of bad news, and Art gave it to me.
Uh-oh.
Was it yesterday or today? Ecos Connect is per device, and it looks like there's gonna be a lot more devices coming our way, because there are new regulations as far as if you have a sprinkler system in your home. This may not be a new regulation, but I think new developments require sprinkler systems, and sprinkler systems have to have a backflow. So we may be getting a lot more backflows. We only have about 4,000 currently. So
Per
we may-
development or per house?
Per
per
house.
house. So with the new development that we're getting, we may end up with approximately 10,000 or more new backflow devices
Over time.
And it's 250 per,
per customer. So we're still recovering our cost. It's just the cost of the software is gonna go up too.
But it'll be, we'll still recover our costs, because as that cost goes up, we'll be collecting $250 a month per customer.
So you review that periodically, that 250 charge, make sure it covers the program.
It hasn't been reviewed for a long time, but it's in the budget to do a sewer cost of service study as well as a miscellaneous fee cost of service study. So those two will be combined. Yeah, and they should be done, it should be done either this year or next, more likely next year.
yeah, because we're saving 31 customers, you know, it should reflect on their bill, right?
Yeah, we'll end up when we do a new cost of service study, and that's one of our tactical initiatives that we're gonna move forward to do a new cost, because that includes all of our engineering fees, our plan check fees, all of our miscellaneous fees, to make sure we're not over collecting or not under collecting.
And they haven't been reviewed in years, so more than likely we're probably under collected.
So all good news except one little caveat. Is there other districts that are using Ecos?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Like-
and Art might speak more to that, but we actually know the representative of one of them is Shannon. She works, I shouldn't name names, but she works for OTI. And what were some of the other districts that Ecos?
There was Sweetwater, Vista Irrigation also uses, I had a whole list of them. I got a whole, the ones I talked to was Vista, I believe Liebenheim uses them too as well. And then Sweetwater and Padre Dam.
Not only that, also the testers, they're talking really good about the software. Customer supports are really, really good. They respond right away.
Good feedback.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Sometimes can't you collaborate with like Vista Irrigation, Escondido, San Marcos, all along the 7-8 corridor with Ecos and say, hey, if you talk all the GMs together, you talk and say, hey, if we do all these 4, then you can get a collaboration quantity discount.
I think it's one of the reasons they're less expensive, because
Because they're already up here. Okay, no, good information. Any other comments, questions? discussion?
I've got the support for the program.
Thumbs up here. All right,
Thank you.
Can I just ask one question?
of course.
Is there, so automatically when a new system goes in and they require a backflow, it's just automatic that it's checked, right? There's no way that it could be non-compliant.
Yeah, the backflow when it gets installed has to get certified,
Okay,
and by a certified installer and checked before it becomes activated. I think it's-
Sorry, that's very easy.
okay,
So every time, most likely when it's new, it's gonna pass, but we
Okay.
require it to be tested.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Art.
Right.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you
Well,
guys.
thank you, Ray.
Oh, you guys are welcome.
You're more than welcome to stay.
Unless
Lots
you
of great
wanna-
information.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting presentation coming up.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Probably want to sign that over.
You guys have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item number 2, solar savings updates.
Yeah, Mike, I can just take this one, but as the
I can close this one.
as the committee members know, we've invested quite a bit in putting in solar panels and doing a private-public partnership to save our ratepayers from, or help shelter some of the SDG increases. SDG keeps on increasing their fees every year, and those fees get passed on to ratepayers, but this is one of the ways we've helped offset some of those costs. With that, we do an analysis, so.
So, yeah, so we have we have the 2 sites, Twin Oaks and Lift Station 1. We're not counting the one here. So we have a power purchase agreement with it. We didn't buy the equipment. They, SSA, I believe it was, right, installed it in their power purchase agreement provider. We also have a contract with Terra Verde to monitor and administer the contract with them. They'll check the efficiencies, send us reports and things like that. So we pay SSA a fixed reduced rate per kilowatt hour, and that's really what translates to our savings. And it partially shields us from rate volatility. So I thought I had a chart, actually, numbers here. I like numbers more than charts. People like charts more than numbers. So what this is showing is the savings from year to year. The blue line is the annual savings from 2000 fiscal year 2022. So you'll see it's averaging around $120,000-ish a year. The red line is the cumulative year over year total. So you'll see that there's over $490,000 in net savings lifetime. And that's the 4 years so far.
And that's the net savings. So that's basically the credit we get on our bill, less we pay SSA. We pay them a monthly fee as well.
And then there's a true up with SDG later or something.
It's not really,
Yeah,
we do our own internal allocation, but they basically, oh, yes.
they do a little true
Yeah.
up, but it's, so really what happens is we get this big credit on our one main bill, and then they divvy it up between 10 other bills, and sometimes there has to be a true up at the end of the year.
That's what,
But
okay, and that
Yeah.
true up is usually pretty minimal.
yeah, it's pretty minimal. And that's why actually this year there hasn't been the true up. So if you'll see it dip to 101, that's actually a little short. I don't have that amount yet because they haven't trued it up yet. So it'll probably be 15,000-ish range.
Great savings.
So again, just the key takeaways, it's a stable annual savings of about $120,000 a year, as I mentioned. The cumulative benefit has been about $491,000 lifetime. Third-party oversight, Tariff Verde ensures that the contract is performing, and they report to us for accuracy. And then what we're planning to do is do an annual update to the board, right? We're gonna do it to the full board, or we're just to a finance committee?
Yeah, that's kind of at the committee's discretion. If you think this would be useful information for the board, I think.
Maybe we can
Short,
include it with
sweet,
the
and
budget.
it's positive, yeah.
So let's do that, we can keep it.
Not so much for the board, but also just for the public.
We could definitely include it in one of our financial updates, maybe with the budget, or maybe in mid-year in January, one of those.
Yeah.
Whichever makes sense, or wherever we get the true up, because I don't know because the
Yeah.
PPA's agreement.
Oh,
Yeah, we wouldn't know until about this time of the year.
So
Or,
maybe we do it
With
in
the-
January.
yeah, in January.
Yeah, so we could probably bring it back in first of the year and just give an update on it, because it's a big investment, and not investment because we didn't have to pay for it, but it is a big decision that this board made to go with the power purchase agreement as our first power purchase agreement. So tracking that, we had some trepidations, and it started off very rough with SCG in the beginning. It took us over a year. Mike did the yeoman's work on this.
This sounds very familiar.
Yeah, it was the same thing that Rancho went through. But they find, we literally had bills that were incorrect for over a year from SCG before they finally, with Mike's help and working with Tierra Verde, got rectified. So, but now we're, I think, on a good path. So I say we're questioning.
So you went through this a while ago, it sounds like.
For the late 90s, like the industry deregulation, we had a third-party provider for energy. It was an absolute nightmare between Edison and third party.
Yeah.
It took us 2 years to straighten out the bill. I mean, there was supposed to be a true up, and the true up was wrong.
Yep.
For a couple of years running.
Yeah, we were surprised, like SCG, we would call them, like, this doesn't look right, you know, because this is nothing, like, oh, and they would just cancel it, and then they would issue a completely new bill.
Yeah.
And it would be like, wrong more. And we call it like, wait,
Wrong more.
We'd like for it to go the other way, and then they would be like, oh, and then they cancel that one, they would just issue, they just kept doing it, like, they, if you looked at our.
It's almost like, what are you willing to pay? And we're like, no,
Sounds-
what's
sounds
right?
sounding very familiar.
Yeah.
I think they did something with Encina.
Yeah.
Encina had it.
Yeah.
I was like, so you have zero comments in your billing because you're just canceling it whenever we ask a question and then redoing the entire bill. I was amazed. It was amazing.
What's
So
our,
Sarah, go ahead.
what's our annual power bill?
That's a good question. One, is it?
What's the question?
what's the
And our
annual-
tower for
annual
the whole
electricity?
district, for water or sewer or
Oh,
both.
Everything, yes.
Yeah, I don't
1.7,
know.
1.82?
I want to say that, but I'd be making it up. I don't want to.
Yeah, we could get back to
I think
it.
in the
that's
high
it.
ones, 1 point something million, or low 2 point something million, I believe.
For water and sewer combined.
Yeah, it's combined.
Yeah. So without this, it'd be an extra almost $500,000 grant. So that's significant.
Yeah,
This is since 22.
yes.
Yes, and all of our customers save on this. This is applied, it provides a savings for every customer in our district.
Now, the two locations are the Resbit, where credits against a bunch up to like 50 accounts.
Right.
Correct, that's Twin Oaks, yeah.
And so do we change those accounts very much or they stay pretty consistent?
We have, Terra Verde actually
Looks
picks.
at it annually.
looks at
So they look
it.
at the ones that haven't had much use, and maybe swap out
Yep.
one that has higher use.
We just need to make sure we can utilize the full credit. So you basically have to look at the biggest users and apply the most to that and then split it up.
Yeah, just so you know, I think 49 or 51%, it's almost 50% just goes to metal arc. That's the majority, and that's our biggest single power consumer, metal arc, our treatment plant, so that's why it goes there.
And as Wes mentioned earlier, we do reallocate them. Let's say all of it went to Middle Arc. Middle Arc shouldn't get 100% of the credit. So what we do is we take back all of that and then reallocate it to everybody.
Yeah. So all customers, that's why I mentioned all
Benefit all
customers,
customers.
it benefits all customers.
Is there like a sunset clause, or I mean, is there a contract?
25 years is the PPA, I believe, and then after that, it reverts to us.
Yeah, so we own the facility after 25 years, but the useful life
And
of
we
the
gotta
panels will
maintain it,
probably be
yeah.
done after 25 years. So there'll be a decision that I probably will not be here.
I don't know, that's only 20 years away.
It is, it is.
You'll just be 60 by then.
Jason will be here. Jason will be here.
I will probably still be
I know,
here.
I know this is an official meeting and I'm gonna be recording, but that's not an announcement. I just want to be clear.
So interesting, so 25 years of reverse, so we get all the stuff,
We get all the stuff.
but if it's no good, then we've got to be able to dispose of that stuff.
Yeah, and ideally it may still work, but at a very lower level, but it's more the inverters. The solar panels may still generate something, but will the inverters even work is the question. Hopefully the inverters get replaced at
That's what I was wondering, can
22
we have
years.
them replaced right before?
Yeah, we would probably do an assessment coming
Yeah.
up before that to figure out, really get some, analytics on, do we continue, do we replace, do we
Yeah.
repair? So there'll be,
Exactly. I mean, I know it's down the road, but
it
that's.
is, and
not too far
but that's how
down.
we would do it. We would assess it.
How about this situation here?
Yeah, we're actually doing that same thing.
We're doing that right now
Right
here because these panels are end of useful life.
All right.
They're end of useful life and they become a hazard, like a safety hazard. So now we have to figure out what to do with them. So we basically we're doing an analysis of our best option.
Yeah, it's cost benefit, right? It's
Yeah.
cost
Right,
benefit.
inverters,
Inverters are stopped working and the panels themselves have a tendency to catch on fire.
Instantaneous.
So then you just go to do another PPA, or do we buy and own
Those are the
ourselves?
things we're
Yeah,
evaluating.
that's that cost benefit. You look at that.
Do we scrap it? Do we install new panels? Do we do another PPA? Those are all items.
Because panels and stuff have become more efficient, smaller.
They are, we get a tremendous amount of power here, but can we use the power?
Yeah.
So we're grandfathered into a NEM2 here, but with new panels, I don't know if we get it. So there's a lot of things to consider. So,
Thank you. Any questions, discussion before we go next?
yeah, this was just information.
So thank you. Prop 218.
All right, I will not accidentally steal any thunder. I'm just gonna hand it over to the finance team here.
Okay, so in case you guys get tired of hearing me talk, I did a little executive summary of my PowerPoint presentation to take home with you and read it tonight. So the Prop 218 update. So let's go over the agenda real quick. The executive review, some of the terms, the timeline, the process of what is a cost of service study. And then really the real question is, why are we here? The new cost of service study, what's the impact to the customer? And then the increases from our purchase water, the delta between our cost pressures on us versus what we pass on to the customer. And also this year, we are including pump zones in with the Prop 218 process. Before they were separate issues. Now we are including it, and it will be an annual presentation. So just really the preview. So with our proposed rates, it's going to be a 4-year Prop 218 proposal. From calendar years 26 through 29, it's fully compliant with Prop 218. So it ensures the proportionality, transparency, and defensibility under the Prop 218. And as you know, approximately 75% of our costs are these costs passed on by the wholesale water provider. And punchline, I'm gonna give it to you now, the average single family residential bill will increase from about $111 now to $126 in fiscal year 26, or actually in calendar year 26, I should say, pardon me. So it's about a 13.2% increase to our customer. So really what this is doing is realigning the rates we were under collecting on the SDCWA portion of our bill. So customers have been paying probably $5 less per bill than our actual costs for the last couple of years. So now this is catching up to that. And in the cost of service study sets the maximum, I'm gonna repeat that word and emphasize it very many times, maximum amount that we can charge. Okay, right now there is a pass-through cap of 28%. Don't let that scare you. For external costs and 8% internally. And I'm gonna go over all of these issues in a minute too.
And I just want to reemphasize that because this is where customers get
You
mixed
push back
up.
and then
Yeah, because they see the 28% and they say your bill's going to go up 28%. And this is, it's just the way the 218 laws and rules and regulations said, we have to state a maximum possibility, but it's not what the actual reality of the bill can be, so.
And I do have somewhere here, I have our last Prop 218. Kind of, I'll jump to the why are we here? What was causing it? So our last Prop 218 was a 4-year Prop 218. And back in the day, 3 years ago, we thought 6.5% cap was, oh, we're golden, we're good. Because the previous 3, 4, 5, 6 years were 3%, 3.5, 4. I think the maximum that we've seen was 5. So we're thinking, okay, 6.5, that gives us some cushion. Well, even Nostradamus couldn't have predicted what happened. So the rates have gone through the roof. There have been double-digit increases over the last couple of years. So that's what brings us here. And I'll probably round back to that in another slide. So again, getting to the punchline, I told you that the total average bill for a customer, again, average single-family residence, 13 units of water with a 5/8" meter. So all my numbers are surrounded around that. So the current bill is about $111. Proposed to go up to 126, almost a $15 increase. Or that 13.2% that we just talked about.
does that exclude the sewer?
That does exclude sewer. There is no sewer increase for this year currently on the table.
So then the average excludes it.
The average excludes that too. So if we were to add the $38-ish, $39 in the sewer, it'd probably be around 9%. I get that.
But we want to be transparent, so it's a 13.2% increase on the water bill. People's total bills will go up about 10%.
Yeah, that's for the customer.
So in the next presentation, I will include, I'll do this separately and then I'll fold in the sewer to show the total net impact.
That's one of the things we want from the committee, ideas of what to present at the board workshop, so this way we can better answer questions or anticipate possible questions within our presentation.
Okay, so just some of the legal terms and other definitions. So the Prop 218 is that California constitutional requirement that rates cannot exceed the proportional costs. And COSS is the cost of service study. So it's really digging into the weeds. I get 270,000 lines of individual data that I pull from every customer, project out by month what their demands will be for the following several years. It all gets fed into the rates, the rate study. So again, as I mentioned, the average single family residence, 5/8" meter using 13 units of water. And in this time, I'm actually going to look at the Prop 218 because I tend to get terminology mixed up and use them interchangeably. So I don't want to do that this time. So there is something new this time around of written protests versus legal objections.
Yeah, and this is per the new Assembly Bill and Senate Bill laws. So this is the first time we're doing this because these are new laws that have been put in place since our last Prop 218.
So the written protest is just someone writing and saying, I object to your rate increase. There's no real reason. There's no legal challenge at all. They're just saying, I object, we're paying too much. And as of today, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen, we've gotten 3 notices of written protests. I want to use the right terminology, but written protests. And this Prop 218 has been out for about 3 weeks, I believe. I go down to customer service every day and they say they've heard nothing really.
So when's the?
We'll get to that in a second. So legal objections is someone has to write in and say a legal specific objection to how we are violating Prop 218. They can't just say we don't agree with your rates or your math is fuzzy. They have to specifically hit a certain, on page 27, this chart is incorrect.
You're
So
misleading
this is a
us.
new part.
Yeah, it's a new part, and this allows them to kind of put a foothold on how they want to challenge, but only they could challenge on their legal objection.
And you still have to have a simple majority to object.
Yeah, for the
Right,
protest.
For the protest, so the protest is 50% plus one, so 11-ish thousand.
So we're at the,
And we're at 3, so we've got 10,997 to go.
We're getting there.
Yeah, slowly. This is just the definition of Prop 218. I always put it in here just because it's kind of legally required, just so that I tell you that, you know, regulation, local government taxation and assessment applies to, gives the voter, or in this case, the property owner, ability to protest. The fees have to be based on the proportionate share of the costs. We have to give at least a 45-day notice. For us, we gave actually a 54-day notice, and I gave us a little buffer, and we'll see that in the calendar in a second. And it also limits the power of local governments and hold us to a stricter scrutiny. So we just can't pass and raise rates at our leisure.
Mhm.
So here's the timeline. So a couple of months ago, we went to the P3 committee with the draft of the Prop 218 that we mailed out on August 22nd. Mailed about 22,000 copies. And as I mentioned, we gave a 54-day notice instead of 45. Today is the 16th of September. We're here just for the update with the Finance Committee. On the board workshop on the 1st, and James, correct me if I'm wrong, is that when we set the public hearing? Do we need to actually do that?
no, I think the public hearing's already been
It's
set.
already set?
Yeah.
Okay.
that's- for today.
Okay, I didn't know if we needed to do that in a board workshop.
This is just the workshop.
Or workshop, okay. The legal objection deadline, the reason why we did the 54 days was that we have to have a deadline for the legal objections, and it can't be anything less than 45 days. So what we wanted to do is give us a 1-week buffer from the 8th to the 15th to respond to any of the legal objections. So we can do research and things like that. So that way we're not coming to the board on the 15th and only had 1 day to prepare.
So how about the
The protest they have
Protest.
until the 5, until you close the public
Until you
hearing. I
close the
believe,
public hearing.
on the
yeah.
15th.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll accept any protests up until then.
So, and then with the legal objection, the staff is basically, we need to respond to every legal objection, even if there's no legal standing, we need to say this objection has no legal precedence, we need to have a response to each one for the administrative record.
And so we'll have the public hearing on the 15th, and if approved, then the new rates would go into effect January 1st of 2026.
any specific stuff from BNK?
But BB&K has been working hand in hand with us. Luffy from BB&K has been working with us in the entire process. Reviewed the 218 notice,
And the cost of service.
the cost of service study, and reviewed the timeline and help set these timelines. So Luffy's already earmarked in his calendar and schedule to provide legal support for us in that week when we have to respond to legal objections. So, we have our ducks in a row.
So in the new 218, like I mentioned, will cover calendar years 2026 and 2029, so 4-year. So the cost of service study process, it all begins with the financial planning, which is basically the budget. From there, we go into the actual cost of service. Like I was saying, the 270,000 lines of data, we dig into the weeds, push all that stuff out, and then bring all that stuff into a rate design. That rate design has to be compliant with the Prop 218, as I mentioned. So we are developing the 4-year structure, and we do have the index or the pass-through that needs to be voted, that still needs to be approved by the board each year. So even though we have the pass-through, and if we get those amounts from the water authority, get those amounts from SDG&E, we're not just gonna set the rates, we're gonna bring it back to the board, let you know which each of those components are and how it affects
Yeah,
the
Those are the
rates.
only two pass through.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. So once staff knows how the water authority is changing its rates on an annual basis, and staff also knows our internal costs, there's the 218 only sets the maximums. And then the board still has to authorize any rate increase on an annual basis. So it does not give staff the ability just to raise rates on their customers without going through a public process.
And we will never collect more than it costs us to provide the service to the customer. So 28 is the maximum. We may come forward next year, if the water authority came in with 14%, we only need 12, it'd be 12 if that's what we need. So I think it's just important to note that.
Yeah, good.
So again, the cost of service study just basically aligns the costs, so there's no subsidy between customer classes. And we define our customer classes, by the way, by meter size, which actually BB&K thinks is more defensible than by type of commercial, residential.
Customer class.
Yeah. And then allocate it between fixed and variable costs.
And the litigations with the city of San Diego and litigations with OTI, that's been pretty famous, is one of the problems and the holes in the litigation is they're being attacked. It's why does it cost more to deliver water to a commercial customer than a residential customer? It's the same amount of water going down the same pipe. Going down. So that's where they got hung up in court.
Meter size more defensive.
Yeah, meter sizes at
Yeah, right now. But
this point is more so.
Till the
There's a
next
lot of
lawsuit.
knocking on wood on this meeting.
To the next lawsuit.
Yes. How about this? You know, it hasn't been challenged successfully at least.
So again, why are we here? I just kind of stated some of the issues, but the drivers behind the proposed increase. As I mentioned, the wholesale water inflation, that 75% of our costs are put onto us by external agencies, so we have no control over those costs. Double-digit increases in recent years. So I also wanted to put this on the Prop 18 to just give a pictorial of what that really means, because I can always say 75%, but what does it really mean? So 3/4 of every dollar just gets passed through directly to the people that we're buying the water from. So that leaves 1/4 for our internal costs, our operating costs, our capital needs, and things like that. And also just to be in regulatory compliance. So again, the new cost of service study is a 4-year term. There are some rate guardrails, which we mentioned, kind of the limits, which are set to maximum rates, again, maximum rates. The limit pass-throughs are 28% annually for SDCWA and SCG&E. For internal costs, they cannot exceed 8%. And as Wes mentioned, cannot exceed the cost of providing the service.
The 28% is combined between the two.
It's 28% for this, 28% for that. For both
And-
buckets.
And also remember, our SG&E costs are only for pump zone rates, which only affect 3,000 of our customers. So we have 22,000 water customers, roughly 3,000 of them are on pump zone rates.
And one of the issues with our current Prop 218 that we didn't anticipate back then is the changing between fixed costs and variable costs from the water authority. Right now, the limits are 6.5% on fixed and 6.5% on variable. We can't, if fixed only went up, or variable only went up 4, but the fixed went up 10, we can't move those costs around. We're limited to 6.5 on each. This opens it up a little bit and allows us, because as you know, the water authority is trying to get more costs from their variable or commodity costs
Transition.
onto the
Yeah,
fixed.
and I think you'll see that.
Yeah, you'll see that in another slide.
So that was a necessary improvement we made to this Prop 218 was to say the combined rate increase can be 28% maximum instead of doing the two separate.
Yeah, because that actually hurt us in the last 2 years where the water authority had 25-30% increases on commodity and smaller increases on fixed, so we weren't even able to collect their full increase on, sorry,
The other way around.
other way around, on fixed. So we weren't even able to collect the full increase on the commodity because the fix went up so high, and so we had to undercut
You said the SDG is just the pump zone?
just pump zones.
The pass-through is only for the, basically for the pump zones. So when we set the pump zone rates, which I'll show in a second, we can only increase it up to 28% a year.
What about the rest of it?
Well, we don't pass through those costs
That's
other than normal, through the normal.
That's
cost
part
of
of our,
It's been around like 4 or 5%.
no,
No,
Used to.
12 to 18%.
But that would be a portion of our internal costs.
Yeah, that would be a-
combined with the total.
so that'd be limited to the 8%. But I think the majority of our SDG&E bills are really, a lot of them are those pump zones.
But that one's gonna be pretty simple because if SCG raise the rates 15%, then we're gonna send the pump zones should go up 50%. So it should be a pretty one-to-one simple thing. I say
Just
that
gives you an attitude and some flexibility by doing it this way. It's still-
And this is what we're doing annually now. We should have been doing it annually before, and the board just took action on it about a year ago to catch up. So we're finally caught up with SCG rates.
And again, the last bullet, again, want to reemphasize, it requires board approval each year. So this is that example that I brought in, but it has a little bit more detail on it. $111 to the 126, about a $15 increase or 13.2. So this breaks it down between water and ready to serve. So I thought, well, what's a better way to show this? So the next slide should shock you. I hope it does, and it's rated MA
Uh-oh.
for Mike Arthur.
Uh-oh.
So what I want to do is it brings out these same amounts, but it breaks it down between VWD portion and the water authority portion. And when I did
It
this,
shocked me how.
it did, it shocked me too, and I'm a numbers guy.
I think I know the answer.
So our current rate's at $111. How is it divvied up? Well, right now, about $25 of it is VWD's internal costs and all of our maintenance operations, our capital costs. The water authority portion is about $86. That makes up that 111. You ready? So for 2026, the VWD portion is actually going down by $2, and I'll actually bring in the next line. The water authority portion is going up almost $17. So you ask yourself the question, why? It doesn't make sense. How is this happening? Well, a couple of reasons. We have discretionary revenue, right? Some of that discretionary revenue, because we weren't able to capture all this water authority increases for the last couple of years, some of that discretionary revenue, as it's grown over the couple of years, has been used to backfill what we've been missing from the water authority.
We've been subsidizing the water authority, right, with our discretionary revenue to keep rates low. Artificially, now that we have full pass through, we can utilize it. We're supposed to be utilized, which is for our rates, our internal costs.
So we have discretion over that, and that's how we keep rate affordability for those people that use, you know, an average amount.
It's reflected in the reserve
So it's,
levels dropping.
yeah, that's
That
our,
too.
it's our property taxes and our RD revenue. So that's really the only two sources. It's about $2 million or something like that.
I think it's,
So it's not a really large dollar amount. That's what's defined as discretionary revenue that we have.
But you can see the relative water authority rate for us is 19.5, 19.6%.
Okay.
And Mike's later slides will show you why, because we've had several years of not being able to pass through, and it's been shown.
and this also, the next slide, I think will bring in why we're going up to 28. Also. So again, slicing and dicing, what are the components of that? So what's driving this increase? What's the cost attribution breakdown of this? So the first section is San Diego County Water Authority components for 25 and 26. And it's, the top line is the commodity portion per unit of water. So currently we're charging the customer $5.36 of their bill today is for water authority. That's under collecting, by the way, because as I told you, we've had those 6.5% limits the last couple of years. So the proposal is to go up to $6.29, almost $1 difference of 17.4%. Again, as I mentioned, they're pushing more of their commodity costs onto the ready to serve, I believe, in the transportation line right now. So the water authority is ready to serve, their fixed portion is increasing from 1631 to 2104, 29%. If we were still under our current Prop 218, we could only do 6.5% of that. So again, as we mentioned too, the tier 1 offset. So we have that discretionary revenue. Currently, we're allocating 76 cents credit for tier 1 users. The proposal then, because now we have that full amount that we can allocate, is to push that up to $1.08. So we'll offset the customer's tier 1 rates by $1.08. So that's a 32% decrease in their tier 1 water rates for our portion of it. And then for the fixed charges, it's proposed to go up about 60 cents or about 2.4% for our internal.
Mike, just quickly. So he said if we were still under our current Prop 218, we are still under our current Prop 218 right now. So if we stay there, it doesn't look good. So
Right.
This is necessary and why we're doing this right now.
The water authority is basically a huge reduction in sales. That's the problem.
It's a huge reduction in sales and prepping for the city of San Diego to roll off 50% of the usage and leave all the rest of the agencies with the bill. So yeah, it's a big bill. So if they move more onto fixed, then even if the city of San Diego rolls off the commodity uses, they'll still pay their fair share of the total expenses.
So the key takeaways of this is the San Diego County Water Authority pass-throughs, as we talked about, is a primary driver of all of this. And VW's portion is stable or declining due to the strategic use of discretionary revenue, as I mentioned. Total bill increase, again, on the average single-family residence, about 13%, consistent with our Prop 218 notice that we sent out. And the rate structure does remain compliant, equitable, and financially sustainable.
So our controllable cost, the 25%, it's So what is it, how much is that portion? Is that like 4 or 5%?
4 to 5%, and yeah.
Okay.
I think it was around 6% this year, but our 10-year average, I think, is below 5%.
And then what are discretionary revenue, we're able to offset that to actually show a savings to our customer now. So our customers will, from a Vallecitos standpoint, we'll be charging them less and they'll be seeing savings. So we've actually shortened that 25% relative to what our customers will pay.
And really to tie in this whole day, the 31,000, I believe that Art's saving us, the 491,000 that the solar is saving us. That's all in that 25%. So that's another reason why we're able to offset and mitigate some of the increases to the customer.
The committee members may remember my August update, I went through all these different savings that equated up to $800,000, 1.5 million here, 2.5 million there. Some of them are just one-time savings, some of them are luck, and some of them were continued savings. But that $800,000, that 31,000, the solar, all those things added up to those. The solar, that was annual, so that there was 170,000 for solar, so.
Right.
Does our investment income go towards this as well?
No, it stays in reserves, right?
It's in
Mark?
reserves. It's part of the rate study though, so it's
Yeah.
considered in looking at that because it's part of a 5-year financial plan. So it will in effect smooth the rates.
That's true. In other words,
Indirect.
we don't have to deplete the reserves if we're earning more interest. We keep money in reserves. There's a certain amount of money we need in reserves to meet our floor and ceiling requirements.
So it'll reduce the capital recovery portion of the revenue requirement and the cost of service debt.
Understood.
So I just wanted to kind of give the purchases, our water purchases, how much have they grown over the last couple of years versus how much have we passed on to the customer. So for the last couple of fiscal years, and again, when you see numbers between the Water Authority and what I present, remember, A, their calendar year, minor fiscal year, B, their average of the 22 agencies, as Glenn used to say, your mileage may vary. Ours are within 1 to 2% of what theirs are. So you're not gonna be able to tie and hang your hat on one number from what they say to what we show here. But over the last couple of years, there've been 7.1, the 12.3, the 11.8 cumulative. It's been an average of 7.7% compounded annually over those last 3 years.
That's 30%.
Yeah, it'll show on the next.
That includes desal?
That includes desal. And actually, desal's been put our friend, well, for 1 year, desal was our friend.
Last year, not this
Because
year.
it actually increased less than the.
Because it was shut off.
Yeah.
No, it was
But
last year,
also,
not this year, it was the year before.
It was shut off most of the year.
yeah, we saved some on there, but I
Yeah,
think
the rate.
the rate increase was less on desal than it was on the Water Authority.
The Water Authority went up 12 point something percent, but desal only went up 9%. So
So in the same time period, our customer bill, the last 2 years should look familiar. It's the 111 and 126, but it started at 98, went up 6.1% in fiscal year 24. We did the 6.5% last year, or actually this year, I should say, January 1st, 2025. And then with the proposal, if approved by the board on September 15th, be 13.2%. Compounded annually, that's 6.3%. And then I just have a chart that kind of shows, and James was kind of mentioning that. Over the last 3 years, the blue line is the water purchases. So they've gone up a cumulative of 34% over the last 3 years. And then our costs onto the customer would be a little bit under the 28%.
and you can see if we didn't have those caps, we could have matched the 7.1, we could have matched the 12.3, and we probably could have matched the 11%. You know, so even though we're catching up from the 2 previous years where we're under collecting, we're still undercutting what the Water Authority is charging by efficiencies, by offsetting through our revenues, and for our customers. So we're constantly finding ways to save something for our customers, even though we only control 25% of the pie.
And then this just shows you the global picture. I've always talked about the single family residence, 13 units. This is the complete picture. This, the top section, is our commodity rates. So tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. The right is the increase. So almost all of our increases are 11 to 13%. That's where we get to that 13.2 for the average single family residence. The bottom portion is our fixed charges that we're passing on to the customer. Again, they're within the 11 to 13% as well. So almost all of our rates, whether they be commodity or they're ready to serve, are in the ballpark at 12, 13%. So what it's saying really is almost all of our customers are going to see about a 13% increase. Normally, that's not the case. Normally, your average single family resident will see 13, and your agriculture customer with a 3-inch meter or 2-inch meter is going to see a 26%, right? Because they're getting the tier 3. But this kind of levels it out a little bit.
Nice.
Oh, we did talk about pump zones. So pump zones are going to be included in this time. So when you approve, hopefully when you approve, on the 15th, you'll also be approving the pump zones.
For your consideration.
So, and again, I put on the bottom, the pump zones not to exceed the 28% annually. I believe these are about 12% increases across the board.
So SCG does 2 increases a year sometimes. They've done 3 in 1 year, but they do about 2 increases a year. Each increase ranges from 4% to 8%, but they do 2 a year. So Director, you're right, they're 4, 5, 6%, but they're
Twice.
twice.
So I was laughing when you said
Well,
4
it
to
used
5%.
to
Like,
be
yeah,
the case.
Yeah, but they're doing 2 a year
I
now.
think like the very long-term average is about 5%.
I think it is, but it's, if you look at the last 8 to 10 years, it's
Yeah,
much higher.
Much higher.
So what ends up happening, no matter what we do, since we only do this annually, is we'll capture whatever rate increase that we know, but then when they do a mid-year rate increase, we're gonna under collect. So we're always going to under collect for months out of the year, but it's something that at this point, unless we come back to the board every 6 months, it's just not worth it to do, because hopefully it's not significant. And then we'll have to catch up. So every year, if SDG continues this trend, every year you're looking at a 8, 9, 10% increase in pump zone rates. But that's, but again, that affects roughly 3,000 of our customers.
Or we're thinking we'll just call them and protest the bill and then they'll cancel it and reissue something.
That's one way.
Yeah.
Okay. He's teaching.
so again, just,
I was gonna say, I've been told by SCG representatives that it's going to level out. I asked them when, and they said it's going to level out. That's, and did not give time.
that's in that 20 years when our solar is done. It'll level out there. So again, just to wrap it up with the summary, so the proposed rates do meet the requirements of the Prop 218, including the proportionality, transparency, and defensibility. Again, the drivers are the external wholesale cost of 75% of our bills. The average single family residence will be increased by about 13.2%. It's a 4-year cost of service study with caps of 28% for San Diego County Water Authority pass-throughs and SDG pass-throughs, and caps of 8% for our internal charges. And then just to show that the retail rates have increased at a slower pace than the wholesale costs over the past 3 years. And if I may, Your Honor, I'd like to give some closing arguments. So I had to write this down because I'm not going to remember it. And I normally do not read off the slide, but I am going to read it if you don't mind. So the proposed rates are legally compliant and strategically aligned with the district's long-term financial stability. They reflect the true cost of service, protect affordability, and ensure that we continue delivering reliable water service in the face of rising wholesale costs and capital demands. And we've taken a measured approach, absorbing external pressures where possible, capping pass-throughs, and maintaining transparency throughout. The fiscal year 26 alignment realigns rates with actual cost pressures after years of constraint and positions us to meet future challenges responsibly. And with that, we're at questions, discussions. I do have some topics like feedback and expectations. I think James kind of mentioned that. What would you like to see for the board workshop and for the public hearing? So I'm hoping
Yeah,
that
the committee's thoughts, it'd be nice to get a little bit more explanation in this. I like this, and we can expand on that. Any thoughts that you have that would add to the workshop? It's a board workshop, but since there was no interest in the public workshop, we've invited through social media the public to attend the board workshop. We want to be as transparent as possible. I don't know if anybody will show. I can't control that, but I'm hoping, because I think we have a compelling story and we want to be as transparent as possible with our customer base. And I'm very proud of the work that staff's done and the district's done and the board's done to help protect their customers even with these large wholesale increases. So,
Thank you. I like the MA rating. That's pretty good. Is this the presentation like that you would set up for the same? I mean, is this in your mind that you're gonna present on 10-1?
Again, what James said, I'd like your feedback.
Yes.
So on 10-1, I might give a little bit more information. I'll check with James and Wes and see what they want to do.
and I have a kind of a value of water presentation in front of this that we still have to integrate in. That's more informative. I was hoping to give it during the public workshop to kind of, get people's perspectives on how much water costs relative to what the product and value they get. So I'm planning on doing that at the board workshop, but not at the 218 hearing, because the 218 hearing is more formal.
The 10-15.
Yeah.
How about you? 10-15 one, same?
So the 10-15 one, I think is going to be a little bit more formal. I might not give my MA joke. But I'd also,
Lighten it up. It's all right.
I want to cater that as we get in more protests and challenges. I don't know. I use the right terminology.
Objections.
Protests and objections, I will cater slides specifically to those. What I'd like to do is address those up front. I'd also like to know if you guys liked me giving you the aha moment up front and giving you the punchline up front about what the rates are. I think it worked out better because then you're not wondering what's this all leading to and anticipating.
Do you want some suspense?
Yeah.
Not that much.
I actually prefer it. So
Yeah.
So what I would do is up front also, any of the protest challenges, whatever objections that we get, I'd probably do a slide on each one to kind of address them up front rather than waiting to the end. So that way people aren't saying, oh, he hasn't gotten to that yet. So that's kind of my thing for the 15th.
And also on the 15th, because it is a public hearing, we have to call out, address any protests, objections, our answers to those objections. So there's a formality for the administrative record that has to be followed. And there'll be probably, Luffy will be in attendance, and we'll also probably be having a speaking part and provide some guidance. So,
Any thoughts, even from Candace or anybody on changes or suggestions for?
No, I think I mentioned earlier the with and without the sewer.
Yeah, I got that.
I think overall, in general, just emphasizing that the impact of our water wholesale, what that means for the total bill. I think that's important to keep emphasizing that.
And the caps, I like the emphasizing the cap is just a cap. So we asked, do we have to have a cap in the property? Can we just pass through the costs? And you legally have to you have to set some cap. So we just set it at a rate that we didn't think, we're hoping it won't go above in the next 4 years, because that would, but we will never collect more than our cost. So.
No, I liked it as well as I did like the aha moment in the beginning. That was fine. And I don't know, I like myself how you talk, I would emphasize the catching up. Unfortunately, rates have been pretty mellow. I mean, I'm in the insurance business, and that's why the insurance industry is a mess in California, because insurance rates have been so mellow, and now there's a spike. And it's like, hey, we got to catch up now, because if we don't catch up, I mean, it's gonna be
never gonna get,
so it's better to have these smaller increases gradually, or eventually it's gonna be a huge mess, like the insurance industry currently, where things are doubling. 13% is a lot better than 100%. And if we just don't catch up, I mean, the longer we go without doing something like this and catching up, because I like how you like the latitude and the flexibility with the caps, where you have some flexibility in there. You can look at the internal costs, and most of it, like you said, is external costs.
and at some point, if we don't catch up, the fiduciary responsibility of the board is gonna force the board's hand to do a massive increase.
So that's what I like that emphasis. And again, it's just personally, as I like, this is a spike, it's a little spike, but the longer we go, it's gonna be a bigger spike. So we
The other
don't
thing
catch up
to
now.
emphasize is the impact of our reserve levels over the last few years and show how we absorb some under collection.
Yeah, we've been trying
We got a lot of criticism for having high reserve levels, and we brought that down to basically the floor.
Yeah, but we've done that it was planned, and we've done that, and we did it mainly through capital outlay. A lot of our reserves and replacement funds, but yes, but we also didn't put money into reserves over the last several years because we weren't collecting enough.
Well, yeah, you're right, though. We have drawn down reserves as a result of not being
Right.
able to set rates where they need to be. So, yeah.
So I think that's important, should.
So the one thing that I didn't mention in this presentation was how Water Authority originally came in at 19%, then 14%, and then 9%. So do you think that would be helpful, or?
No, I think it'll add to, I mean, this
Okay.
is personal, I think it adds too much noise, because
Okay.
there's too many different percentages. At the end of the day, the water authority percentage is based on the calendar year, it's not us. If there's a question on why is 8 and why is 13, we have 2 years of pass-through catch-up, it's a calendar year versus fiscal year. We have desal, there's a lot of answers.
Yeah, to show that the individual agency's impact is different, because it's, the water authority affects each one differently based on the mix of resources.
Yep.
And always simpler is better to me too, because general public, this is for the general public, and the board is going to be hearing it, but mainly the 10-15. Just simple, keep it simple. 'Cause, yeah, we're all thinking water, we live water.
But did you like the
Rates
shocks, the MA moment? The MA moment I thought was outstanding.
That was pretty good. It was more R than MA, but yeah, it's all right. No, it was good.
I thought that one up over my cheeseburger.
That's right. Keep thinking. Who uses that in and out? Somebody uses that in and out. You talked about, brought that in as far as the cost of.
Oh, Encina uses the
Oh,
double chart, the cost of double doubles, have they gone up?
Yeah.
Their cost, the double cost has gone
That
up.
was insane. That was Aaron. Okay.
Yeah, inflation wise, inflationary increase in the cost of a double has gone up significantly more than the cost of water.
Yeah.
That's just a little too objective for me.
Yeah, no, I understand. No, I mean, great job. Yeah.
I think you may get some questions about, okay, it looks like we're gonna get a 13% increase. I can understand that. But wait a minute, over here, it said it could go up to 28%.
Yep.
What, how could that happen? And I mean, just reading this over and sharing it with a couple other people, it's like, well, what would it take for it to get to 28% and
The water authority would have to raise
Raise their rates by 20%.
Okay.
Or more, actually,
more.
because ours is usually less than the water authority because we're able to keep our internal costs down. So the water authority would have to raise the rates 30 to 31% or something like that for our cost to go up 28%. So that's that cap that we're referring to that we legally have to put in there as part of the
It's
contract.
just in case.
But I think it's also important, and Mike stressed it today, and I think he did a good job. The reason we're here and the reason we fell behind is because our last cap, we set at 6.5%. We had to have a cap, and we thought 6.5 would be good enough, and it turns out it wasn't.
it's not,
Because the
yeah.
water authority came back with these 17-18% rate increases.
Yeah.
So now we're setting at a rate that we're hoping, will
We'll
keep
never
us
see.
insulated from.
Yeah, sure.
And just to clarify real quick, the 28% is for future years. So 13.2, if approved by the board, is locked in for January 1st.
Okay,
So the
that would be
28% would be
already-
for January 2027, and that's again only if the water authority came through with a 30% increase.
Yeah. And
That's if
I'm
you
just
zero.
tossing this out because it's like, well, wait a minute, is it this or could it be this, And I think that people might,
Yes, the 28 would be for years 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, and that's an excellent question. That's something that we've argued with our legal staff about, because the way the Prop 218 statutes are, the way we have to fit into the legal statutes, and we have to write it that way, and it makes it harder to explain.
Well, I think
It causes
the public-
confusion.
It creates some
Right.
mistrust.
Yeah, it's like, it's 13%, but it's 28% way.
Or you guys are just gonna do 20.
Yeah, it's
I've heard so
exactly.
many customers say that.
And we're gonna emphasize as much as possible upfront that the Prop 218 process requires us to put a maximum down. However, we're only going to pass through what our actual costs are with a maximum of 28%. So if our costs are 5%, then it's 5%.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing a slide that shows and puts numbers to it, but then I don't want to be tied to that. If I say, for example, if the water authority does 15% next year, well, then people are going to see that 15%. What if they come in at 22? What if they come in at 8? Then they're going to say, oh, but you said 15, so
We're gonna
it's
have
hard
to-
to give an example.
We're gonna have to answer the question best we can on the spot. We're not doing that because you're absolutely right. The times that we have shown numbers, then people go, oh, that's the number, even though it's just an example.
Yeah.
So
Right.
speaking generically is better suited to that you don't mislead the public. But unfortunately, the way the 218 process and the statutes are, in the way you have to put in you have to put a stake in the ground for your maximum creates that, we would love to, as staff, be able to we're gonna do a pass-through of our direct costs, and we're gonna control our internal costs and a maximum of 0.8% for internal costs and be done. But unfortunately, the legal representation and the way it's written, that they're not supportive of that.
So we're a nonprofit, so we can't just set our rates.
Yeah.
There always has to be a nexus or a justification for all of our costs and all of our cost increase. So we can never just say, well, we're gonna set it at 28%. We'd have to provide that justification to say, here's the water authority, here are our internal costs, that's where rate increase is gonna be, and then the board has to approve it on an annual basis.
Yeah, and that is a great maybe leading with the fact that, because some customers don't realize that we're a nonprofit. They think we're a for-profit company like SCG, like other utilities, or PACBell or AT&T. So maybe leading with, we're a nonprofit, so we are obligated to not over collect. We're also obligated not to under collect. And this is what this is
That's why
about.
we're here, yeah.
And that's why we're here. And maybe rolling that in, and then if there's a question on that 28%, going back to that slide and say, again, we're a nonprofit, we're obligated to not over collect. So if there's not a reason to collect up to 28, we cannot. And we're also obligated not to under collect. So
Well, the other thing is that all the work that you've done to reduce your own costs to try to offset what is happening beyond your control is, to me, that's very impressive. That you obviously knew this was coming, or were trying to prepare and soften the burden on your customers. And I think that's, that goes a long way.
yeah, it's a great story. Unfortunately, when we're only 25% of the pie,
Yeah,
it still makes a significant impact, but it's not enough to offset the 75%.
Yeah, when you're talking a $2 decrease, but a $17-ish almost increase.
yeah.
It does help, but, right.
Well, it's at least something.
Right.
And I guess the other thing from my standpoint is like, how many times beyond now are you able to cut costs to recoup this? There's gotta be a baseline that you can't cross to say, no, if we go any lower, we can't provide, yeah.
At the day, I think this is a powerful slide. It shows the reality of the situation. We're seeing almost a 19.5%, just sub 20% increase in our wholesale costs to catch up to what we're actually paying. And we're actually reducing our costs by a little under 10% to help offset it.
And just to add on, originally, we were planning to do 2 rate increases this year. We were gonna do one in August, September, another one in January, and we were thinking it's gonna be 10 and another 10, so over 20%. And fortunately, we got some good news from the water authority, plus looking at our internal costs and getting that full discretionary revenue and things like that.
We got lucky on demand too.
Yeah, and demand picked back up, so
Which help offset.
it was a lot easier to do
costs.
one increase.
How much in advance do you get notice from the water
They
authority?
They
that-
adopted the rates in June for January.
Okay, so you have a 6-month window.
Yep. So we have a 6 month window to adopt our rates, and
We
that's
usually
why,
adopt our budget before the
Yeah,
deadline.
that's the problem, is we've already adopted our budget, and we put in, we'll put in a 10%,
Oh,
and then they come back 2 weeks after and say it's 15.
Yeah.
So now our budget's already blown 2 weeks into our new fiscal
but
year.
as far as this
But-
water rate increase, we have time.
Right.
So every year in the October timeframe, we'll be coming back to the board saying, here's what the water authority actually did. Here's what it looks like for our rates starting in January. And there'll be basically a public hearing every year if this 218 gets passed, or even if this 218 doesn't get passed.
Actually, it's not a public hearing.
Sorry, a board action.
Board action.
If this 218 gets passed, or even if it doesn't, that sets the rates for January at the board's pleasure.
Good comments, good discussion. Did you get what you needed?
Everybody needed.
Any other comments, discussion? No, sir. Kirsten, you're so quiet over there.
Enjoying the learning.
Taking lots of notes though.
Yes. A lot of just the different processes from previous experience to now and how things have
Nice.
changed and what's different and fixed.
Thank you for all you do, appreciate it. And if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.